Duke Loves Wrestling presents.
Look at what we have here, folks.
The Rundown.
The cream of the crop, and there is no one that does it better than
The Duke.
Man of the hour. Man with the power too sweet to be sour. That's right, Jack. It is Duke Loves Wrestling. Boy, am I fired up today. This is a very special edition of the Rundown podcast. We are coming to you live and in color in a special secret location. I'm here with the Boston bad boy, Iron Mike Pelosi. He's doing some production for us this week, folks. How fantastic is that, okay? I'm telling you, we're big. We're big, baby. Not only are we big in America, we're big in Japan, we're big in the universe. You got that right. On this edition of the Rundown, we're going to recap this past Monday's Raw, and we're going to discuss how that impacts the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But before we get to any of that, I want to share some not-so-random thoughts. This past Sunday, TNA had their Slammiversary pay-per-view. Overall, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad effort for TNA. You know, they've had many problems the last number of years here, folks. The company being up for sale. A lot of their top stars have left, and now they're thriving in the WWE, AJ Styles. But nonetheless, I'd say that this past Sunday's TNA Slammiversary, I'd give it a C, okay? It was headlined by the championship match between former WWE star Drew Galloway versus former WWE star Bobby Lashley. Who cares? Lashley won. He has the title. Yada, yada, yada. He's a big guy. He's in MMA. Boring. Okay, whatever. What I want to talk about are the knockouts, okay? We're talking about my favorite TNA knockout. None other than the lovely, the talented, she's known as Allison Kay on the Indies, but in TNA she's called Sienna. That's right, Sienna was in a triple threat match against the lovely and talented Gail Kim and the former champion Jade. And I say former because Jade was attacked by her former tag team partner, Marty Bell. Ooh, man, I love Marty Bell. Marty Bell jumped in that ring and she knocked over Jade. And before you know it, 1, 2, 3, Sienna is the new Knockouts champion. Now, folks, I have mentioned Sienna before, and if you follow me on Twitter at Duke Loves Wrestling, you know I am high on Sienna. She does a great job in the ring. Everything she does looks crisp. She uses her facial expressions to provide impact. Okay, no pun intended. And for that reason, she looks bigger than she actually is. I mean, she works like a monster in there. And because of that, it is believable. Ironically, that is one of my critiques of a lot of other wrestlers, male or female, out there. They spend too much time thinking about the next flippy move, okay? And they don't spend enough time with the facial expressions and to make whatever they're doing in the ring matter, okay? Sienna, top of the line, my friends. She was worth the pay-per-view. So if you have a chance to check it out, please do. It's worth it for that match alone. Now, with Slammiversary being the C that it was, TNA wanted to transition into a live edition of their flagship weekly program, TNA Impact. Boy, I was excited about this past Tuesday. TNA is going to be live. As you know, WWE SmackDown, they have just announced that they're going to go live and starting in July on Tuesdays. So we could have another war here, but instead of a Monday night war, you'd have a Tuesday night war. So I'm thinking, okay, TNA, they're just coming off a Slammiversary, they're beefing up here. This is going to be awesome, right? Folks, the most amazing, ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. TNA had issues. They had issues uploading their live feed onto the broadcast. I couldn't believe it, folks. I mean, this was just terrible. For an hour and 52 minutes on Pop TV, all we saw was a continuous loop of commercials. I mean, that 70s show, I used to like that 70s show a few years back, but let me tell you something. After seeing an hour and 52 minutes of commercials dedicated to that 70s show, I never want to see them again, okay? I never want to see them again. Pop TV, get your act together. I don't know if you're trying to sabotage TNA or what. Whoever's in charge there should be fired, folks, okay? It almost made me feel like, was it Vince McMahon? Remember that time when he came out and he yelled at Stone Cold Steve Austin? It was me all along, Austin. That's what it felt like there. He must have kicked the cord or something. I don't know. But unfortunately, we weren't able to actually see this week's edition of TNA Impact. Once again, folks, an hour and 52 minutes of continuous commercials. Disgusting. So just when TNA takes a few steps forward with their Slammiversary pay-per-view, they take a million steps back with this nonsense here. I hope and I pray they get it together because, as you know, hey, Duke loves wrestling. But we'll have to wait and see. I can tell you, you don't have to worry about WWE kicking TNA's butt if they're going to kick their own butt the way that they did this past Tuesday. Moving on. International news here. WWE just renamed the Global Cruiserweight Series. They changed the name to the Cruiserweight Classic. Hey, makes sense to me. Listen, call me whatever you want, just don't call me late for lunch, okay? Nonetheless, the Cruiserweight Classic is coming up, folks, and it is going to be amazing. We're talking the top cruiserweights from all over the world battling it out to see who will be crowned the very first best cruiserweight in the universe. With that said, Ho Ho Lun, the man from China, coming all the way from Middle Kingdom Wrestling, he is going to be part of the Global Cruiserweight Series. Folks, if you haven't seen him before, head over to MKW's website. Check out Ho Ho Lun. This guy is fantastic. He can do it all in the ring. He knows how to sell. The fans love him. He literally is taking the entire nation of China, putting it on his back, coming here to the United States and letting everybody know that he plans on being the Cruiserweight Classic champion before it's all said and done. Speaking of China and Middle Kingdom Wrestling, WWE is currently having tryouts out there. You got that right. So we're talking about Triple H and Lord William Regal. They are actually in China as we speak, and they are giving tryouts to Chinese pro wrestlers and Middle Kingdom Wrestling. You know, our friend Adrian and the boys out there, they have been invited to the tryouts, and thus far they've been doing a great job. Listen, folks, this is fantastic news. China is a huge market. It makes sense for WWE to do whatever they can to break into that market because I'm telling you, over in China, they are thirsty, they are hungry, they need pro wrestling, and more specifically, the American style of pro wrestling. They want storylines, they want excitement, the flashy lights, the beautiful women, you name it, they want it. I'm telling you right now, folks, so hopefully the WWE can deliver, and this is great news once again for Middle Kingdom Wrestling. Keep up the great work. And with that said, we're going to head over to the Raw recap. But first, folks, you know, aside from wrestling, Duke loves food. And when it comes to a delicious meal, beautiful ambiance, and an affordable price in the Boston area, Duke loves Tavern Road Restaurant. That's right, I'm talking about Chef Louie and his team. They have combined a great mix of globally inspired flavors with locally sourced ingredients, which has afforded the restaurant the honor of being named one of the best in Boston. So what are you waiting for? Head over to Tavern Road, located at 343 Congress Street in Boston's fantastic Fort Point neighborhood. Visit www.tavernroad.com for more info. Enjoy. It is Raw recap time, and let me tell you something, folks. As you know, this is a big show heading into the pay-per-view. We have Money in the Back this upcoming Sunday live on the WWE Network for only $9.99. That's right. So as we've grown accustomed to what they call these go-home shows, you expect something big to happen in order to entice you to purchase the pay-per-view. But as you know, if you have a subscription to the WWE Network, you're going to get the pay-per-view for the subscription cost, which is a great thing. But I got to tell you something, folks. This go-home Monday Night Raw, it had some bright spots, but overall it was a little disappointing. With that said, I'm okay with that because the last few times they've had poor go-home shows, WWE has managed to deliver excellent pay-per-views. So, hey, 6 in one, half a dozen in the other, what are you going to do? Whatever. Starting off the show here, we had The Club. We're talking about Luke Gallows and my man, the Machine Gun, Carl Anderson. They combined with the Vaudevillains, and they defeated the New Day and Enzo and Big Cass. Plenty of high spots, plenty of comedy. In fact, at one point we had Kofi Kingston who came out. He was wearing the new Steph Curry basketball shoes. You know, the white on whites that look like something that the Golden Girls would be wearing or something. Oh, my goodness. I'm telling you, boy. Hey, Steph Curry, where did you come up with that design? I understand that Under Armour are the ones that helped you out with it, but boy, those shoes, man, I don't know. Anyways, Kofi Kingston, you actually wrestled in those shoes, which I commend you for that. You made a fashion statement. I don't know if it was good or bad, but it happened. Anyway, the club continues to tear up the WWE. You're talking about two veterans, especially that Machine Gun Carl Anderson. This guy can work his tail off. I mean, the guy just looks great in the ring. And, of course, you can't forget about Luke Doc Gallows, big man who knows how to work big. He really does a great job. The Vaudevillains, they're terrible. I don't even want to mention them. They're complete garbage, whatever. Enzo and Cass. You have a situation which I've been saying for the past couple of weeks here, folks, as you know. Enzo Amore, who I love. He has all the talent in the world. He can go on the mic. He's fantastic. But then you got that Big Cass who describes himself as 7 feet tall, but he doesn't work 7 feet tall. The guy doesn't look like he can destroy you. And I'm telling you, for a guy that big, he has to work like a monster. Don't forget, in the last portion here, I talked about Cena out of TNA, the new Knockouts champion, how she works like somebody who's a monster, and she's really not that big at all. It would behoove a guy like Big Cass to take a look at Ciena's matches to learn how to work big, because I'm telling you, the guy looks terrible out there, folks. He looks terrible out there. As for the New Day rocks. Let me say that again. New Day rocks. Big E, Xavier Woods, my man from Cambridge, Kofi Kingston. As always, they put on a great show. I am completely disgusted with the fact that Kofi Kingston, once again for the third week in a row, he's the one that gets pinned in the ring to lose the match. Why is Kofi having to put everybody over like this, folks? One could argue that because he's the veteran, he's not going to lose anything by putting over younger talent. But what I have to say about that is, don't do this to Kofi. I mean, spread the love. Can we spread the love a little bit, please? Let somebody else take a loss for a change. Kofi deserves better than that, WWE. Get your act together. Seriously, okay? Seriously. The Money in the Bank pay-per-view is going to see all four of these teams battle it out for the WWE World Tag Team Championship. Should be a great match when they all are beating the crap out of each other out there. I can't wait. But once again, the club and the Vaudevillains, they won on this night in Raw. Not a bad match. Everything that you would expect, considering who was involved. We had Stephanie McMahon and Shane McMahon arguing with each other in the back about the WWE Brand Split. Now, if you've been living under a rock, let me hip you to the game here, folks. WWE is once again taking Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, and they're splitting them up. They're going to have separate talent on each show, exclusive to each show. Okay? So the battle now is who's going to run SmackDown and who's going to run Raw. Well, here comes out of nowhere, without his mask, Corporate Kane. Kane comes out and offers his assistance. He actually gave Stephanie and Shane his resume. Kane, as if we don't know who you are. Come on, brother. But he gave him his resume, and he said that he would be the perfect person to run one of the shows, preferably SmackDown. Now, as you remember, last week we had Teddy Play Along, who came out and was lobbying for his chance to run SmackDown once again. So now we have Kane this week doing the same thing. Good comedy, not bad thing. Shane says that he's going to reveal at the end of Monday Night Raw who will be running SmackDown. So we had that little cliffhanger going on, folks. We had to wait to find out. We had Rusev take on Titus O'Neil. Or rather, Titus was coming out after being announced as if he was going to have a match, and Rusev attacked him and beat the ever-living mess out of Titus. Now listen, Titus has punched Rusev in the face the past 2 weeks in a row. And as you know, Rusev, the United States champion, he's not going to take that sitting down, especially with his fantastic manager Lana by his side. Rusev Machka. That's Russian for crush. You better believe it. And he crushed Titus O'Neil. He humbled him, as the Iron Sheik would say. All right. These guys are going to battle it out at the pay-per-view Money in the Bank. It's going to be a slobber knocker, and I can't wait to see what happens there because these are just two rough and tumble guys, and it's not going to be wrist locks and headlocks, folks. It's just going to be a pure, unadulterated beating out there. Can't wait. They then announced the Ambrose Asylum with special guests Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Now, folks, as you know, former champion Seth Rollins, he's back after that long battle with that knee injury that he had, and he's taking on Roman Reigns at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Dean Ambrose brought them out there for a Shield reunion. The Shield was the name of that triple team that these three guys had when they first entered the WWE. So it was interesting to see them all out there with each other once again. A lot of back and forth. Roman Reigns, who I can't stand you, Roman Reigns. I can't stand you. And then that incoherent Dean Ambrose. I really can't stand you either, Dean Ambrose. The two of them carrying on. Seth Rollins being the annoying heel that he is. He's perfect, especially compared to those two jabronis. In the end, Seth Rollins attacks Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns turns around. He attacks Seth Rollins. Dean Ambrose gets in the mix. In the end, he ends up giving the dirty deeds to Roman Reigns, whatever. And then he's looking up at the Money in the Bank briefcase. Don't forget, Dean Ambrose is in the Money in the Bank ladder match. If he wins the briefcase, he can cash it in for a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship at any time in the next year. Folks, are they setting up an opportunity for Dean Ambrose to become World Heavyweight Champion? I sure hope not. I mean, WWE, you're giving us this Roman Reigns who, as I said, the guy Joe, he might be a nice guy, but Roman Reigns, the wrestler, is just terrible. He's awful. We don't want him. We boo him, okay? So you give us this guy, and now you're going to turn around and give us Dean Ambrose on top of that? Oh, Vince McMahon, what are you doing to us, fella? What are you doing to us? I don't know. Hopefully Seth Rollins comes out on top, and hopefully that incoherent, ridiculous Ambrose doesn't win the Money in the Bank championship. But we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Now, folks, I'm going to get real serious for a second here. The most egregious thing happened after that. WWE went to a commercial break, and they came back, and standing in the ring were women's champion Charlotte and her challenger Paige. It was a non-title match. They battled it out. Paige ends up winning in the end. Dana Brooke gets blamed for Charlotte losing the match, which is pretty interesting. That was cool, whatever. Dana Brooke, keep doing what you're doing. I know I gave you a hard time for the past couple of weeks, but you've been progressing, and I have no problems with you. Paige actually worked a pretty good match in this one, too. Charlotte is Charlotte. She's the best, whatever. What I'm upset about is the fact that the WWE did not show Charlotte's entrance. She's the women's champion. Show some respect, okay? Now, I understand that on this same night you had the NBA Finals going on. But that gives you no excuse to treat the women like that, okay? I feel like I'm Birdman. Put some respect on her name. Respect. Okay? Charlotte is the women's champion. She should be treated as such. She has the Flair lineage. She has been carrying that division all along, only because you've been holding back Sasha Banks, who's just the greatest thing in the universe. But that's another story for another day. Nonetheless, WWE, get your act together. Show some respect to the women. Don't you ever not show the entrance for your women's champion, especially someone as talented and fantastic as Charlotte. Okay? Seriously. At the pay-per-view, Charlotte and Dana Brooke are going to be taking on Becky Lynch and Natalya. I don't really care about that match. I am happy to see Dana Brooke continue to progress. But seriously, we want Sasha Banks, the boss from Boston. We want Sasha Banks, okay? And whatever you got to do to get us Sasha Banks, especially at SummerSlam, just hurry up and do it. All this other extra nonsense is really getting annoying, too. Just hurry up and give us Sasha Banks, please. We transitioned over to Sheamus taking on Zack Ryder. Now, look, Sheamus, first of all, it's clear that Sheamus colors his hair and his beard. There's no way that it's that red. It's an unnatural looking red, but it's still funny at the same time. And congratulations to Sheamus. He's in that new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Bebop and Rocksteady, those two villains in the movie. I believe he plays Rocksteady. So, he's feeling himself right now. This guy's a star, whatever. But Sheamus beat the heck out of Zack Ryder. No surprises there. Zack Ryder's been treated like a redhead stepchild, no pun intended. After the match, after the tremendous beatdown on Ryder by Sheamus, Apollo Crews comes out and he saves Ryder from the beatdown. Now, forget about the fact that Apollo Crews is a good 4 or 5 inches shorter than Ryder. Forget about the fact that Zack Ryder probably has at least 20 or 30 pounds on Apollo Crews. He's the one who saves Ryder. Okay, I'll take it, whatever. And he showed some aggression. Beat on Sheamus. Sheamus ran away. He did the heel thing and ran away. I'm not opposed to it. As you know, I've been saying all Apollo Crews does is smile and does flippy moves. So the fact that he showed some emotion this go-around was a good thing. He's going to have a match at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view against Sheamus. It's going to be a battle. I can't wait to see it. Sheamus is going to help Apollo Crews continue to progress his wrestling character, which I'm not opposed to. Apollo Crews, I want to see you get the ever-living life beaten out of you in that match, okay? I want you to be down and out. And then just when we think you can't take any more, you come back and you find a way to win the match. That, my friends, is pro wrestling. That's what Apollo Crews needs, because right now he's a generic character that means nothing to anyone. We need this guy to find a way to show us what he's really made of outside of a bunch of flippy moves. Okay? Seriously, Apollo Crews, get your act together. Can't wait to see you on Sunday, though. Sheamus, keep doing what you're doing. Congratulations on the movie. We then had Sami Zayn, who defeated Cesaro in an all-star match. Exactly what we expect from these two guys. They're going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match coming up on Sunday. It was a fantastic match. Anytime you have Sami Zayn in the ring, you know it's going to be amazing. Cesaro is a fantastic mat technician as well. Cesaro was playing the heel in this match, which I actually liked a lot. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come. But all-star match, not much to say about it. It was fantastic. And you know these guys are going to bring it come Sunday. We then had the meat and potatoes of the night. John Cena and AJ Styles with their contract signing. They're signing the contract. They're going to battle it out on Sunday against each other. We have the indie legend AJ Styles going up against the establishment favorite in John Cena. Now look, I want to say something about John Cena, and it's not because I'm from Boston. Because first of all, John Cena is not from Boston. He's from West Newbury. And I'm sick and tired of people saying they're from Boston when they're really not from Boston. You're not from Boston, John Cena, so cut the nonsense out. West Newbury is nowhere near Boston, by the way. With that said, though, John Cena is one of the best professional wrestling talents in the world. And if you don't acknowledge this, then you're kidding yourself. Okay? Cena's the man. He puts out great effort every time. He elevates whoever he wrestles against. John Cena's the man, seriously. Now, AJ Styles may be the best wrestler on the planet, not named Shinsuke Nakamura. But AJ Styles is lacking on the mic. And we can accept that from AJ because he's so great in the ring, but he really needs to get his chops up on the mic. So, of course, this is another situation where John Cena was making AJ look terrible. They were going back and forth with the promo. It was kind of a weak segment. Nonetheless, you can expect a slobber knocker, a great match between these two guys, and I'm sure this is just the beginning of a great feud, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. Next up, we had Kevin Owens and Alberto Del Rio versus the Lucha Dragons, with a stipulation. If Owens and Del Rio lost the match, the Lucha Dragons would take their place in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Owens and Del Rio, two professionals, they do a great job. There was a lot of comedy back and forth right here. I'm better than you going on. It was fantastic. Of course they won the match, but that wasn't enough. They demanded that they be involved somehow in the final match of the night between Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho. Hey, I expect either Kevin Owens or Alberto Del Rio to win the Money in the Bank pay-per-view briefcase coming up on Sunday. So the fact that these two guys continue to play off each other, that's good stuff. I don't have a problem with it. That transitioned into that ridiculous Dean Ambrose going up against the Ayatollah of rock and roller, Chris Jericho, to close the show. Now, look, Ambrose defeated Jericho, which just made me sick to my stomach. I can't stand the fact that Ambrose keeps winning over and over and over again. But after that, all of the participants who are going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match on Sunday, they got into the ring and brawled with each other, and it was a, as they would call, a Pier 6 brawl. It was kind of crazy out there, of course, but I'm not opposed to it. It makes sense. That gives me some interest going into the pay-per-view, because that's really going to be the match that people want to see. Who's going to win the briefcase? Because then who's going to cash it in and potentially become champion later on? So we'll see what happens there. And then to wrap up the show, we had Shane McMahon name himself as the leader of SmackDown. So when the brand splits, it will be Shane McMahon who will be the authority figure of Tuesday night SmackDown Live. Can't wait to see it. We love Shane. In his Michael Jordan tennis shoes and glory, we love Shane. You got that right, folks. And that was the Raw recap. Now, you know what else is exciting outside of Monday Night Raw? That's Barnyard Cheese. Barnyard Cheese is my favorite outpost for real food, artisanal cheeses, cured meats, and most importantly, delicious award-winning sandwiches. I'm telling you, folks, they have a meatball sandwich that, I want it right now. It's so delicious, okay? You can drop by their location at 149 Avenue C in New York City's East Village neighborhood. And check out barnyardcheese.com for more info. Folks, trust me, you're going to appreciate it. Enjoy. And folks, listen, I just want to say I really appreciate all of the amazing feedback we've been getting about the Rundown podcast. You know, I'm talking about on Facebook, on Twitter, YouTube, Blogger, Medium.com, SoundCloud. Everyone loves Duke Loves Wrestling. Keep those questions and comments coming. Keep sharing it with your friends. We're going to be bringing you interviews. We're going to be bringing you exciting things coming up, especially as we continue to progress going towards this WWE brand split. I'm telling you, bigger, better. I can't believe it. I can't wait for it. Now, folks, remember, be kind to yourself, but more importantly, be kind to someone else, because we are all here to help others. This is your man, Duke Loves Wrestling, on behalf of my favorite producer, the Boston bad boy, Iron Mike Pelosi, saying, take care, everybody.